coming, and hopefully it'll be a really good meeting. So item number 3, any citizen to be heard? Not seeing anyone wishing to speak. Item 4, consideration possible action on approving minutes of September 30th, 2015.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Item number 5, we have consideration possible action on approval of the draft 2014-15 financial statement. After discussion with the county budget consultant, review, adjust, and approve the 15-16 county officer's estimate of needs as necessary with each county officer and the county budget consultant. Review and approve the completed 15-16 county estimate of needs and financial statement for fiscal year 14-15 for submission to the county excise board for review. This action is intended to embody the county commissioner's statutory budget review and approval requirement. In attendance should be Jerry Putnam, county budget consultant, and all county officers payable from October 1, 2015. So, who would be first?
I might start us out. After our last meeting, we're in a position we have $133,732.19 left to distribute. We allocated $50,000 to an insurance account, and so just to bring you up to date, I think that's where we are with the numbers. Got a little bit extra to allocate.
And that was putting the 50 in the insurance pool.
Right. I know there's some other things that we were still had taken, so, but that's currently where we are.
So the remainder, do we want to put it in capital outlay or?
Or in District 2 road money?
We'll discuss that here today.
I think we ought to wait until we get through this and do the budget.
Yeah. All right.
What's there.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's do it.
All right, well, first up would, I believe, be the DA's office.
Good morning. I think there were at least 1 or 2 questions about the authority that the county commissioners had with regards to providing additional funding to the district attorney's office when it comes to basically having the DA's office provide civil representation for the county. What I have for the board, and I may not have made enough copies, I believe Commissioner Goodman brought up the statute the last time, and I've got a copy of it as well. But I would refer the board to Title 19, 215-36, A3, where it says, it shall be the duty of the Board of County Commissioners of each county and each DA district to provide, in paragraph 3, is sufficient funds for cost and necessary expenses of investigation, prosecution, or defense of any action, whether contemplated or actual, wherein the county officers, county appointees, or employees, while acting in their official capacity, may be party plaintiffs, defendants, or vendors. And I brought a copy of that.
I have it.
Do you? Okay. And to supplement that, there's also an attorney general's opinion, which back in 1988, there was a question of whether or not the county commissioners could provide additional funding for legal advice and so forth. And I've also made a copy of that. I'm not sure who I passed those out to earlier. Okay. So basically,
I've seen this.
and I wanted to follow up on a couple of things to kind of let you know what's going on. And although Troy doesn't know it, I want to call on her to talk about a case we've got going on called Texas File. That is a lawsuit that's been filed by a Texas business against the county involving county records. I will tell you, before I came to Logan County, I was in Creek County. And I will tell you that all the counties in Oklahoma are interested in what the what the result will be in this file. And Troy, can I just ask you to give a real quick summary without going into the merits of the claim, what it's about?
The summary is a company in Texas would like to purchase all images of all records in the county clerk's offices. It is not just Logan, it's statewide, for the purpose of reselling on their website. There are some legal questions, including a Supreme Court opinion that's at the center of this. So it's not directed, let me clarify, it's not direct, I'm not being accused of doing anything wrong, it's really a matter of law that they're challenging
Right.
to obtain the images.
Correct, they're not alleging that the state's done anything wrong. They're just trying to acquire the county's records, which I believe their intent is to redistribute commercially, and that's a legal issue. The reason I bring that up is, and that's not the reason for this request. That's an example of why our office is asking for additional funding. As counties get larger, more civil actions are filed, and there's just additional need for funding. The Payne County County Commissioners have been contributing to our office since 2002 from the standpoint of paying additional monies towards the DA salaries for civil representation. Currently, they are paying about 86%. We're only asking that Logan County contribute 14%. And I would advise you, I'm sure you have the numbers there, but to make sure it's clear, what we're requesting basically is basically $6,000 going towards the civil attorney's position. It's actually $6,513.53. The additional amount goes towards the additional costs involved for the salaries. So I don't know that necessarily that answers all the questions, but that is the statutory and the AG's opinion for the request.
All right, thank you.
So what I've heard here is, there's an AG's opinion that says if the county commissioners want to, they can do it.
Correct. And there's also
Could you also speak to, section 215.37M, talks about, civil, defense, right? And, it talks about, it starts off with the district attorney and the board of commissioners of any county agree legal representation in any civil case in which the county is interested or a party and the district attorney is required to represent the county pursuant to section 215.4, this title may be provided by contract with a private attorney. The cost of such contract will be paid by the Board of County Commissioners out of the general fund. It seems to me that if we have a spillover and we have this increase in civil actions that we need, that is outside of the ability of the district attorney to provide for us, then we should probably look to hire outside counsel.
Give the county commissioners and the DA's office the authority to contract if we both agree to have outside counsel come in. But the difference is at least from the standpoint of my opinion, that the costs associated with paying a private firm to do the work that we're currently handling, and as an example, the Texas file case, would be in the range of anywhere from $200 to $400 an hour, plus additional expenses. I will tell you, and this is no reflection on our current civil attorney, Mr. Lowell Bartow, but he's cheap. He does it because he believes in public service and providing service to his community and to the state. It's much more economically feasible for the county commissioners to pay $500 a month basically for the additional legal services that we're getting, as opposed to going through the process of hiring private counsel each time a new lawsuit is filed. So, but you're correct, that is a possibility. But my opinion is that would be cost prohibitive. The county, I don't think, could afford to do that every time we had an additional civil suit filed. As I've already said, Payne County has been doing this since 2002. Obviously, they're a larger county, but as Logan County grows in population, as it has in the last few years and will continue with the urban sprawl from Oklahoma City and Edmond, there's just a need for it. And like I said, I think respectfully the county is getting a bargain from the standpoint of the work that Mr. Bartow and our office provides from the standpoint of legal advice.
I certainly appreciate your legal opinion there on that as well.
Okay.
My biggest concern here is that the DA's office is asking for a supplement of salaries that heretofore has been paid for by the state. The state statutes say that they will pay all fees for the district attorney and assistant district attorneys. Although, of course, county commissioners have the option in a lot of cases to voluntarily do a lot of things, right?
Correct.
My challenge here is looking at the budget that we have today and the budget that we may have next year. The process of growing government, especially in the area of salaries, to me needs to be looked at very closely. One of the challenges I have is that, yes, it may be only $6,000 or whatever extra that you're asking this year, but that opens the door and sets a precedent for that to be done and increases asked for year after year over year. And I just don't see the need. I've asked in the past that we look at what our legal operational requirements are for the DA's office from over here. One of the challenges that I have is that it seems to me that anybody seems to be able to task the civil side of the DA's office to go look at this or look at that without a specific request from the Board of Commissioners. Sometimes I think those hours may be worked on an unprioritized issue for the commissioners, if you will. So if we're gonna be paying for the service, I would like to have the opportunity to say, yes, that's what I want somebody working on. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think I understand your position. To address I think you made 2 points. The first point being you're concerned that, if I can paraphrase, that you're afraid that you're going to start a slippery slope, that if our office comes and asks us money for this year, we'll be back again next year for more money. Well, I don't anticipate that would be the situation. Of course, both you and the County Excise Board ultimately have the say as to whether or not that happens or not. So I think under the current circumstances, I think the additional $500 a month is reasonable. As I said, Payne County has been paying a portion since 2002. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect Logan County also to pay at least a portion. As I said, it's 84% versus 14%. So our office has looked at the equities and the population, everything involved. with regard to your second point, if I'm understanding your question, your point, if there is a legal question presented by either the county commissioners or by one of the county offices, I will tell you that we're available. I haven't gotten a lot of phone calls since I've been here. I've got a few from the county offices asking for additional information. The smaller issues I try to handle here locally. If they are a little bit more of a time-consuming task, then I defer to Mr. Bartow, one, because that's his position, but two, he does this as lack of a better term, kind of a specialty. I'm a kind of a jack of all trades here in the county, do a little bit of everything. And so if that's your concern about accessibility, I can tell you that I have been under the impression that we are accessible to county officers.
It really wasn't accessibility, it was
Okay.
more of resource management, if you will, in that vein. And to look at the district attorney as a resource for the Board of Commissioners, which you are a legal resource.
Correct.
And to defend county officers and those sorts of things
Right.
and give advice. But that's what I'm more interested in, is controlling the resource. The resource costs money, right? The resource costs the board money. You're here asking for additional money because that resource has been overused, is what I hear. And if that is indeed the case, I would like to understand, one, the amount, how much time has this Board of Commissioners imposed upon the district attorney's office over the last year in these civil cases? How many civil cases do we have today that are being pursued by civil outside counsel, civil attorneys, and how much of that's handled on the inside? I, from a resource manager standpoint, want to be able to say, yes, I want the district attorney to give us a couple of hours on this issue or another issue. That those issues need to be prioritized is kind of what I'm getting at from controlling that resource.
Marvin, am I reading you right? You don't want no one to ask the DA nothing unless they come to you and ask, can I ask the DA this? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that at all, I said the board.
That's the way I checked you.
No, the board's the one that controls the resource.
Not in essence, county excise board does, and the DA.
Glenn, how many cases do you have for me right now? 3 or 4? We actually go to court Friday?
I think that's right.
We talk
We-
on
yeah,
a
we've
couple of
had-
times a week. We go to court on Friday. We've got 3 or
Right.
4 cases right now, so.
Yeah, we've had a few that keep lingering, that haven't turned actually into cases. But yeah, we
But
talk pretty regularly.
you have to do responses for me.
Correct,
Yes.
correct. And the same with the county clerk. There's,
I had one not very long ago with the appeals board. And the assessor's office had something going last year too.
am I concerned, if I understand now for sure what the issue is here, I think the statute specifically talks about providing services to all county officers, so I do not believe that even if we thought that was appropriate, that we could do that as each officer is elected, each officer has their own independent authority, and each of them, under the statute, have the ability to request legal opinions from our office. So,
The thing I appreciate about his request is it's on a separate line item, and it's not like all the other departments where it's included personal service and might get lost. And I think, each year you have an opportunity to review that, and maybe if you need additional information from the DA's office to match with the cost of that service could be provided. I do appreciate that, but it's on a separate line item.
What's next?
Okay, are we,
You done, Merle?
you've done,
I'm finished asking questions.
all right.
On this topic, if you wanna,
What topic you wanna talk about next?
well, I think we need to finish talking about this one.
Okay.
Oh, this one.
I don't have a problem with it myself.
Not only, in fact, I looked up some of the statutes, and I really honestly appreciate that there's nothing in this request for a more repair, upkeep, and such as that as is required by the county commissioners to fund for the DA's office. So I definitely appreciate not only everything that you have gone through in the past with those 4 offices, but also the assistant DA who volunteered his time and got resources to refurbish that office. It looks really, really nice, and it certainly gives some of the privacy that is definitely needed in there from, between the defendants and those that are being prosecuted. I wanted to cite that the role of the county commissioners is to look through this and also to approve any requests for monies for them. But it is the excise board who by statute shall, at the option of the excise board, this is it's Title 68, Chapter 1, Article 30, down on number 5, the county excise board shall proceed in the following order. At the option of the excise board, the governing board may collaborate in such reductions, but the final order shall be that of the county excise board. So really, our authority on this, I believe, is a little bit limited. There is also in Article or Title 68, Chapter 1, Article 30, in its functionings, this is the meetings of County Excise Board. In its functionings, it is hereby declared an agency of the state as a part of the system of checks and balances required by the Constitution. This is what we're doing. We're charged with the duty of requiring adequate provision for performance of mandatory constitutional and statutory governmental functions within the means available, but it shall have no authority thereafter to deny any appropriation for a lawful purpose if within the income and revenue provided, which is there. So that's my discourse on this. So I'm ready to move on to sure.
I think we should probably, since we voted on the other individual county officers' budgets, I think we need to go on record on this one.
I don't think we voted
Wait,
on
wait,
anything.
There was no action taken.
Well, there was no action taken last time, but it was tabled for here. If
The
there's no-
entire item was tabled,
Yes.
and there was mention of taking an action individually, but none was formally taken. So we left the last meeting with no formal action.
So I propose we take formal action to put ourselves on record to approve or to vote on whether or not to approve the DA's increase
Well, do y'all,
from last year.
do you find it on the agenda where we can take individual action on each office?
I don't believe that's in there, and we haven't done that action on any of the other offices. So if we do it for the DA's office, we have to do it for all the
It
offices.
says review, adjust, and approve the county officer's estimated needs that's necessary for each county officer.
Okay.
And that's what we're gonna do.
I think you can do it either way. If you wanna take department by department and make separate action, you can, or I think that what you can do is take, have a motion that approves accounts as listed except for any adjustment to this account or this account or this account, and spell it out in your motion in that manner. I think you have an option of either direction.
Well, let's do it office by office, I'm ready.
You want separate actions?
Sure, that'd be fantastic.
I'll go for it. Sure. Get your list out.
Okay, so the first would be the accounts listed for the district attorney's office.
I'll move we approve.
Second.
I'll go aye.
I vote aye, all in favor, vote aye, okay,
Aye.
all those opposed,
Nay.
motion carries.
Next is the sheriff and the accounts that fall under his account number 0400.
Shall we,
Did y'all have any discussion you wanna do?
Not-
Mr. Chairman?
not I.
I mean, we asked the sheriff to, look at, what it costs to operate the jail
All right, let's hear
and,
it.
came back to this.
I apologize for my voice. So I have an investigator that works for me, who's also an attorney. I'm gonna have him give you the stuff you need, and if there's any questions, I'll still be here.
Thank
Is that okay?
you. Sure.
Thank you. My name's Mark Kaskowski, and I was going to address a couple of the issues that I think that the board had last time. Concerning the jail expenditures, the average total cost to run the jail per year is $1.74 million. The average salary of the jail runs approximately $1.056 million. The average cost for employees' insurance is $162,000, which I would note that I believe that the sheriff's office is using non-reoccurring funds to pay that, and the county is not being assessed for that. The average overhead for the jail per year is $684,000. Now, I believe the only issue that was brought up the last time, and I may be mistaken, is whether or not that the county was going to fund an additional $250,000 of overhead. Now, before we get to that, let me make sure that everybody understands is that of the cost to run the jail, which is a constitutional provision that has to be addressed by this board, without consideration of non-reoccurring funds. Under section 68 Oklahoma State Statute 3003A, is that the board is it's unlawful for the board to take into consideration non-reoccurring fund, like sales tax. But in making that that statement.
Excuse me, could I just,
Sure.
if I could jump in there? What was that statement about sales tax? Are you making the assertion that sales tax is not a reoccurring fund?
Sales tax is not a reoccurring fund available to the sheriff's office.
Based on
It
his
can be
definition
taken-
of reoccurring funds?
Well, reoccurring fund, let me get back in here and see if I can find.
Title 68, tax revenue and taxation?
Right.
Chapter
Section 303A,
Chapter one.
okay? It says, it shall be unlawful for the governing board of any county, city, town, school district, or other governmental subdivision of the state in preparation for its budget for any fiscal years to estimate as probable income from sources other than ad valorem. That means they're basically putting everything else other.
Keep reading.
I understand. Let's see, any excise, other sales tax, or other tax assessed by legislation enactment. The sales.
Now, hang on, that part right there includes sales tax in the definition of what they call ad valorem. So, reoccurring revenue, sales tax is included in reoccurring revenue. Also, if you go further down into that paragraph, it also talks about that if there are other revenues that the board knows for a fact will be available to an organization for the next year's budget, then it can be included in the budget review. Do you disagree with that as well?
I guess what I'm reading on this section is that sales tax is not a reoccurring.
I disagree with that.
Ad valorem is not considered sales tax.
I agree with that.
Then I'm not for sure, because it says other taxes.
What it says, what we're supposed to do is determine probable income from sources other than ad valorem tax. That is a statement.
No, it says it's unlawful.
Oh, no, it doesn't say that. Actually,
in the
I'm
first
looking at the handbook for sheriffs, right, 2012.
Well, I'm looking at the state
Yeah,
statute.
I got the statute here as well.
Okay, well, I understand. Yeah, I mean, the first 5 words, it shall be unlawful.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And I'll since we're talking about this
Unlawful
issue,
for what?
let's talk about the other authorities that's available that you can look up. Abel versus Madden, it's 1987 Oklahoma 55, or 738 Pacific 2nd 1340, specifically talks about non-reoccurring sources. of
Yeah, I guess
revenue.
what I'm more interested in is, what's it cost to operate the jail? How much of this jail operation are we able to fund out of the quarter-cent sales tax that was passed specifically for the operation of the jail, right? Am I wrong? I think that's what it was passed for.
For salaries.
And so, well, it doesn't really say that either. Okay, so salaries, let's talk about that for a second. Under Logan County, what you've asked for under personnel services is $853,000 or $848,000. Those are that's for salaries. Are there any other salaries paid for out of any other cash funds that support the jail?
Are there any other?
Are there any cash funds controlled by the sheriff that pay salaries for the jail operations, other than this personnel services?
Sure, Troy.
Please.
Can I clarify one thing?
I would kind of like for
Troy, please.
The 800,000 that is salaries there
Mhm.
is strictly being used for deputies and dispatchers. It is not paying any jail salaries.
Okay, where's the jail salaries
The
coming
jail
from?
salaries come from the sales tax account, which they don't have to submit an estimate of needs for.
Well, they don't have to submit an estimate of needs for it, but again, that can be included and reviewed in the budget here. So it absolutely can. And that's what we're doing this morning. So I really don't understand. So why did we not break down, why can't we get a breakdown of what it costs to operate the jail? Salaries,
It is, right here, the average salaries for jail yearly is 1.056 million.
you're looking at something I don't have? Access.
Would you like to make a copy of that?
I think it probably needs several.
So I guess what you're telling me is that the sales tax is part of ad valorem tax.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Oh, what are you saying? I apologize.
What I'm saying is that sales tax is a reoccurring revenue that should be
I
included.
have not found any authority that would say that.
Any authority, I mean, what do you?
I don't
consider
have any
authority?
constitutional or state statute or attorney general counsel or a Supreme Court decision that would make that.
I don't have any that says otherwise. I don't see anything, reading thing that says otherwise.
Well,
That's what
then
you're-
again, it comes back to, all the authority that I've stated, is that it's unlawful for any other tax assessment by the legislative, body, or, which would include sales tax.
I don't
It's
agree.
not, sales tax is not ad valorem tax.
All right, then, let me ask this, then why did this county log roll a 3/4 cent tax to give the sheriff a quarter cent increase to operate the jail when it sounds like it wasn't really needed, or nobody's tracking it.
Commissioners, I think we've shown that we've tried to be good servants, and I've brought in money to help the jail, to help, this is way more than you guys are giving me. I close it, and it's up to you guys to decide.
No, it's up to them. That's fine for them.
Exactly how much money is sales tax.
We're open to entertain a motion, I think, unless we have further discussion.
Do we wanna go back and long roll all this together?
Yeah,
Please.
we may.
Marvin, if you wanted all this information in the last meeting,
Yes, sir.
how come it is you didn't go to the sheriff and ask him, hey, why don't you bring these numbers to the budget meeting? You wanna ambush everybody in front of this damn camera.
Well, I've asked the sheriff several things,
You didn't
several
ask
times,
him.
Never been
and
resolved.
that yet to get a response.
You have never come to my office, you have never asked me anything. You came through my jail, and when you first got elected, you talked to Rob Gross Close about money, and you told me you would come to my office, and you have never come to my office. Everybody, anybody on TV, anybody is welcome to come to my office and check my budget, go to the county clerk, it's open record, and check everything. I am open to anybody. I've had one person in this county, Phil Nichols, came to me and wanted to do what I'm telling you you can do anytime you ask. You have never come to my office.
Interesting.
What's new? You
Call
any more
for
discussion on this?
No.
I'll move we approve.
I second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those in opposed say nay.
No.
Motion carries.
Next would be the treasurer and the accounts listed as 0600.
I'll move.
I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Hey, I didn't hear Marvin's vote.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is the commissioner's account listed under 0800.
Hey, what all's that account?
This account for the commissioners on the 0800 are the salaries of the 3 county commissioners. There's a $5 for part-time, those are required just to open the account, otherwise they're not valid. The travel, funding, M&O of $500, and $5 for capital outlay.
I'll move.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Next is OSU account number 0900.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Next is the county clerk, account numbers under 1,000.
I'm a little worried about this. I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Court clerk, account numbers 1,400.
You a little bit higher?
If I remember right, this one was adjusted down, right? You guys started and brought it down. Thank you very much for that.
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Assessor, account number 1,600.
Any discussion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Revaluation, account number 1,700.
Discussion.
I don't wanna make all the motions.
I'll
Trying to
make-
spread this out a little bit. I don't want you copying and pasting all the now. But I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Excise board accounts number 2,100.
Just write me down, I'll move.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Election Board, accounts number 2200.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
General Government, accounts number 2000.
I'll move.
I'll second. All in favor?
Don't forget my.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't forget what now? Oh, we have 130.
We have 133,000 that needs allocated, that the suggestion had been to general government, capital outlay account.
I thought we put in capital outlay myself. but-
Yes, I think that would be applicable. So is that two questions?
I mean, this is the first time it's been brought up, and I apologize for it, but, maybe we should look at throwing a little cash in, county engineer's pool. But that's just a thought.
Do we have a county
Yes, we do.
engineer's pool?
We have a county engineer.
For
We have the
general
ability to
outlay,
budget
for
a county
capital
engineer.
improvement?
I'm not opposed to hiring a county engineer, but, I don't think we have a line item. We didn't put it on our.
It wasn't on
The
your
estimate of
request.
these was not submitted. for that.
Right, there was zero on that as well, but I mean, if we were gonna throw cash somewhere, that's a good place to start, maybe we should look at that next year. But, sure, if we need to put it in a capital expense account,
I'd just
allows
like
us to
to-
manage it.
I'd like to put it back where we could maybe have a carryover.
That's typically the
Right.
account that's been used to kind of build up a little savings, so to speak.
Right.
That was a proposal, a second.
So we will adjust the capital outlay for general government to 133 it's at 100, we will increase it to 233,732.19. So Commissioner Piercy, you have a motion, does it to reflect that
Sure.
change?
Yes, it
I'll
Need a
second.
second.
All those in favor?
does. Aye.
Aye.
Insurances, account numbers 2300,
That has the additional 50 in it.
which would increase the 50, yes.
I'll
So
move
we-
to approve.
Just so it's clear that we'll take the request from 708,000 to 758,000. And was there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
That's a lot of money. Aye.
Charity account 2800,
I'll move.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
civil defense account number 3400,
I move we approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
audit account 8400, or 8200.
We don't have a choice, so I'll make the motion to approve.
All in favor?
I've
Aye.
got most of them committed. Free fair account number 8400.
I move we approve.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the highway budget account at number 9110, 9120, and 9130.
Discussion.
Don't you get enough sales tax?
I do get sales tax for roads, and I do appreciate that. That's all part of the law rule, I guess, is what we're accused of. But I think, since our District 3 takes in half of the county, I think we ought to split that money by the mile.
I approve.
And
I think we ought to split it according to how much ad valorem tax is paid by each district. But I mean, if you wanna get into doing that, though, what I would recommend is at the next census, when the district boundaries are redrawn, that we look at, not only just, the district boundaries are drawn based on population. I mean, that's the way they're drawn out.
Sure.
With no consideration given to mileage, and I understand what you're saying as well.
That's my whole thing.
But what we need to do next time is not allow that to happen, and, I mean, there's computer simulation programs out there running all the time, and we could draw up our district boundaries based on both population and road mileage, in order to be a little more fair among them.
Well, there's a law that says we can redistrict every 3 years, so we can go ahead and redistrict right now.
That's correct.
Well, let's put that on the agenda to look at this next.
But I do think we need to look at the average daily traffic count on these roads as well,
You
so.
know, what I hear though is y'all wanna split the money on population. We're not maintaining population, we're maintaining roads and bridges.
Exactly.
I got 60% of the bridges and 50% of the roads.
Yes, sir. But we have the most traffic,
Well, I don't know.
so the most use.
Most of your traffic's on Waterloo Road, and Oklahoma County's paying 90%.
Most of my traffic is on Seward, Douglas. I have a lot of other very highly trafficked roads that far surpass your roads. So it's a discussion we need to have possibly if we wish to redistrict.
I think we
And
should.
I think you need some more of the
That way
highly
maybe I can go ahead and
trafficked
take the rest
roads.
of the county, then we just have one district.
And you remember, I have made the proposal that with the tax, the way that it's distributed on a formula, that we ought to go on that formula and therefore redistribute it on the same type of formula wherein we get our budget money.
I really think we need to sit down and we get X amount of dollars for a gravel road, for an asphalt road, X amount of dollar per foot per bridge, and we'll split our money that.
The Attorney General's opinion is we need to do the most for the most number of need, of roads, of people. So we have an AG's opinion in there as well that I believe was put in the statute.
It's a discussion.
Yeah.
So it's a discussion for another time. Right now, are we,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
all those in favor? Aye. And that concludes, I believe.
So just so I can clarify, we took individual motions. The only accounts that were changed was the employee insurance account was raised to $758,000 estimated need, and the general government capital outlay account was raised to $233,732.19.
And so I think the next action before we close this out is to, vote on sending this to the excise board, right, for their review.
And I would-
Approved in total and send it to excise. board.
I'll make a motion, we send it to the excise lady.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I based, with the exception of the accounts that I voted no on. But it passed. I just wanted that recorded.
Duly noted. But the excise board is the one that makes the final decision in any case. Okay.
Number
So,
6, Mr. Chairman.
that concludes number 5. On to number 6, consideration possible action on revising the CDRI commitment list to include paving of Waterloo between Douglas and Midwest in the amount of $52,000. And I think if you will remember, we had allocated $60,000 for a bridge replacement, which I was able to save by putting a culvert in at a cost of a little under $8,000. So I request that this $52,000 be part of my matching with Oklahoma County District 3 for the repaving of Waterloo Road between Douglas and Midwest.
What was the total cost on that job?
It's,
On the Waterloo,
two-thirds more what he's asking for.
Okay, it was $60,000 for the bridge. The cost on,
Now, how much was that paving job on Waterloo Road?
Here's mine that I'm gonna ask for, right? So here's how, Oklahoma County's been doing it. It's a 75-25 split. And so,
yeah,
ours, this whole thing comes up to somewhere around $170,000. And what they're asking me on Waterloo is to pay the 61. That's my third, or my 25th quarter.
I'm just curious what percentage was taken.
yes, quarter, 1/4,
So
25%.
Mike are you saying that there's something, a number different than this 100, I guess it's somewhere around 150, $160,000?
Oh, I don't have it with me, but we did have it when we approved approve that.
When you say matching funds, basically, that's,
You're just
you're not adding anything to that, you're just using the CBRI to pay our part, Logan County.
A portion of that, yes.
A portion of it. A portion, I don't understand the portion.
Commissioner, if I may, and I have it here, this board had allotted a bridge replacement in the amount of $60,000 to be on the commitment list for District 2. Rather than replacing the bridge in full, he used a culvert for the cost of a little less than $8,000. So what he's basically saying is I was committed for 60, I only used 8, can I use the 52 now to help pay for it?
Repurpose a bridge, commitment over to this.
Yeah, he ended up not needing it for that. So it's not
That's correct.
increasing the dollar amount on the commitment list.
I don't have a problem with it myself.
Well,
Any discussion?
I just want to make a couple comments. One, we entered into a contract or an agreement with Oklahoma County as well to pay for the blowout of Waterloo Road. Our part of that was $12,000. I paid for that out of O&M funds. And we've also got a mile between Highway 74 and Meridian that needs to be repaved with them, and I need 61,000 on that as well. So I don't have a problem approving this with just kind of painting the porch here that I'm gonna be coming back and asking for a CBRI funding for the 61,000. I'm gonna let the 12 go because that just came out of O&M, and that's what I said we would fund it out of at that time. I don't look to have that reimbursed, but we do need to get that other mile over there redone as well. And that's our part's gonna be 61,000.
Do you know about when that would have to be paid?
Sometime this next FY, I mean, we're probably in the next couple of months.
After the first of the year?
Well, I don't know. It all depends when Oklahoma County wants to start doing that, because that whole mile over there is pretty much blown out as well. But I don't have a problem.
And we'll be taking 14,000 out of our maintenance and operating money to supplement what our quarter of the cost of that overlay. So,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, but, I got 75,000 coming out of the CBRI,
Mhm.
Cooksey Road project.
Mhm.
In fact, they started this morning down Roadway. We're paying 100,000 out of our accounts. so
Sure.
We're using 75 out of the, I don't have a problem.
It's
putting
on the
this
list.
On the commitment list. either,
I
so.
appreciate that.
and I can say that we will also be doing a 25% of the cost of Waterloo between Midwest and Cont. And yes, our share will probably be in the neighborhood of 88,000, and so that's another commitment that we may all discuss, but this is all future projects, so.
Almost.
So item 6,
I'll-
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. On to item 7. Consideration and possible action on approving resolution allowing deposit of $713.87 into civil defense salary account. Funds received as reimbursement for overtime associated with the 2014 wildfire.
Commissioners, to refresh your memory, we had the wildfire in 2014, and Logan County submitted to the state for FMAG, or a state FEMA reimbursement to pay costs to the departments and those that expended their time. It was granted. $713.87 was issued out for David Ball's overtime expenses. So this is to put this back into to make an adjustment to his general salary account to deposit this and allow that overtime to be reimbursed.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We're gonna do it, you guys sit here.
Oh, it's, oh.
May I add, that was in District 2 that fire occurred among all our wonderful rolling hills.
Did you like it?
I'm sorry?
Did you like that fire? Go on, Mike. I'm just trying to have a little fun here. I love God. Let's go.
Jocularity.
Item 8, neither one of the fires. Consideration and possible action on approving agreement between Logan County District 3 and Charles Rothamel, allowing for Logan County District number 3 to enter the Rothamel property for the purpose of creating a waterway for draining of a county right-of-way.
What this is, Marvin, I have a road up there that won't drain, the creek is silted in, we need to clean the creek out so we can get the water off the road and back to the creek where it belongs.
Certainly understand that.
But here's my thing on this, I have not caught up with Mr. Rothermill, he's aware of it, he's in agreements, but he has not signed this. I would like to go ahead and approve it and us sign it.
Can I get you to do 2 original copies, please?
I move that pending approval by Mr. Rotham that we approve this.
I will second that.
This
All in
request.
I'd
favor?
like to get this project rolling, but I've met with him.
I've got some of the same stuff to do on that debris removal under the Cottonwood Bridge. As a matter of fact, that fellow that you gave me his name, I need to get back in touch with him one of these days. I know you're gonna kick yourself for doing that.
Well,
I'm gonna sign where it says money.
all right.
All in
Feel
favor?
privileged getting to do that.
Call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Yeah, I didn't-
Carries.
Oh,
Just look
Lisa.
at it.
That's all right, my name's spelled wrong.
Oh, we have another one? Oh, this is the open.
I don't know who wrote those up, it wasn't me.
That's an occupational hazard, but spelled with an E.
Item 9,
I
consideration.
bet I have more trouble over names than you do.
Consideration and possible action on approving resolution accepting East Oaks Drive in Eastwood Addition number 1 for maintenance as time and money allow. This is my district. It is a public road. Everything about it is public. They had wanted it, and it is in the plant for that, but then we don't normally do that. But what's happening, this is on Anderson Road, we're about to pave Anderson Road, and it has drainage issues. And we seriously need to get some ditching in there for the longevity of this asphalt road that we're doing. I have talked to numerous people in there, but I have not gotten a petition, but it is still, according to the state auditor, it's up to the county commissioners to approve whether we accept the road or not.
Wanna read that?
Sure.
I don't have a problem with it as long as you don't put it in my district when we redistrict.
I second
Well,
that motion.
yes, well,
Where is this? Where is
it's just barely north of Waterloo on Anderson.
On Anderson. It's on your side of I-35?
Anderson is on my side of the 535.
Okay, I don't have a problem approving it then, because it's not gonna get my district either.
Okay, so you made the motion?
I didn't, but I can. I'll move that we approve if you agree. to it.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 10, consideration possible action on approving agreement between Logan County Health Department and Mercy Hospital Logan County for ultrasound services for fiscal year 16.
Commissioners, you approved an agreement earlier in the fiscal year for the health department and the hospital to work together, the hospital providing x-rays. This is for the hospital to provide ultrasound services for the health department.
Ultrasound services.
I guess Jay approved it and sent it to us.
Yes, sir.
I really like ultrasound. I think it's very definitive and diagnostic of medical need. Good.
Did you make the motion?
I did. I made the motion. Just that.
That's it?
Do the second.
I didn't hear nobody.
Okay.
But I will second it, Mike.
Very good.
If Mr.
All
Jay
those,
approved it and sent it to us.
all those in favor?
Uh,
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I think that ultrasound will work out there on the bridge, so we got a weak spot, rebar in the bridge. I don't know how strong they are.
No problem.
See if you got rebar there, it's busted, or concrete deck. Sign.
Ultrasound?
Love the God.
Maybe you're talking about radios. All right, consideration of possible action on approving the following permanent road crossing permits for Tom TCL LC / Tall Oak Midstream. Oh, gosh. I guess all of these are still in your district.
My point exactly.
Well, they love you. You won't have to worry about big cracks from these earthquakes because you got all that rebar in the ground.
Yeah, but I don't have an ultrasound, look at it.
And on top of that, you don't need one. Oops, there's one more. See that one. Got 'em all. Whoops, good gravy. Well, this went in there somewhere. Get some signed.
And you guys, they send 4 copies, but you only sign 2 and I stamped 2.
We left off for county commissioner Jabber at the end of this one.
Did we?
Yes.
My apologies, it wasn't intentional.
No worries, I didn't think it was, we had plenty to do, I just, a couple things. at the end of this.
You can be a citizen to be heard.
And I don't think I qualify as both. Chairman needs to sign this one.
That's what was on three.
All those.
you. Okay.
See you again soon.
When's the excise board meeting?
Have a meeting tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Are you done with this?
I think this last two that you got. I'll make the motion that we approve.
A second.
All those in favor? Aye, motion carries. Item 12, consideration possible action on resolution appointing requisitioning officers for.
Chairman, we have nothing for items 12 and 13.
Moving on to consideration and possible action on the consent agenda.
These are transfers of funds from fiscal year 14, 15 to 15, 16.
Oh, always do that. Always do
Let's
that.
see if Cynthia can.
That's right up
They
here.
came straight to me, she wasn't here, and it was, I had held up the agenda trying to get those, they were desperate to get in.
I noticed you didn't have her little stuff filled out on.
Yeah, cause she hadn't seen them yet.
It's up there top. But
Yeah.
We have no transfers within various accounts for this fiscal year. These are the cash funds.
So Troy,
Yes, sir.
a quick purchasing question. I think Terry asked this morning. I want to make sure that I understand. Where we move money into a capital account to buy things, right? Is that only required if it's required to be dead? Okay. So any piece of equipment that goes on the inventory has to go through, be purchased through, I'm trying to figure out how to do this.
Right, and really, there's not a hard, fast, explanation. Capital, I choose to look at a capital, outlay purchase as a fixed asset.
Right.
You know, you can look at the inventory statutes that say $500, that kind of thing. I personally wouldn't consider a calculator, cause they end up in the trash can, there's not,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I
Right.
think M&O, that's kind of falls under that operations. I personally look at, the capital outlay as computers, large equipment, you know, things like that, as being what that account's used for.
Right, so, a quick example, we just bought a bore machine for the backhoe, for drilling holes. It was around $4,000. Did I need to put that in did I need to buy that out of capital expense? I mean, did I really have to move money in order to buy that?
I have never had an auditor's question something like that, to be very, very honest with you. I don't think that there's gonna be any ding with doing the general fund accounts, it's a budgeting thing. In other words, if we ask for capital outlay through the budget account,
Right.
because the statute says that that's the first thing that gets cut, meaning that, well, you can probably live without a new computer this year. So I don't know that it's critical, an auditor has never really questioned that.
Okay.
Um,
So, as long as we have time to do it, it's not gonna hurt anything to do it that way, is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, we might get a phone call, or your office get a phone call and go, hey, do you think this should come out of capital outlay just because of what it is and it's really a fixed asset?
Right.
If you guys choose to move forward as it is, we're gonna leave it and move forward as it is.
Well, I understand that elected officials get to take responsibility for their actions, and I understand what you just said.
So, but I'm saying we're not gonna, I have never had an auditor press that issue.
Thank you.
Well, this is not attached.
Oh, it's not all that necessary. They come over to me that way and.
So what was our total CPR on, was it that 42,000?
The 42,000 is the balance that ODOT from back in the beginning in '07. That clears that. The monthly CBRI, I think, was 16,000 and something.
Just have a bolus
I think,
in this
Monty,
month.
we probably not wanna have a meeting where we talk about county engineer and redistricting, how we take care and maintain roads, all that neat stuff. Those are all good topics for a discussion.
I do believe, though, we can redistrict every 3 years if we elect to.
That is correct.
Do I have to move my barn? You know, if my barn gets redistricted into your district, do I have to move my barn, or you gonna take care of maintaining it for me, or how's that work?
Yeah, we could have got the street.
Hey, it's probably better than it deserves.
I don't know how that would work, I guess it is.
They have to make sure, and it's more the residents, when a previous commissioner, I believe it was even District 1 at the time, I know it was, redistricting fell, and there was a very difficult time because of his residents. And so, the back and the forth and the back and the forth, and trying to create the jog that would leave his residents in that district, was quite difficult. Under Joe Hall.
Gerrymander.
You didn't wanna just move?
No, apparently not.
How short-sighted.
However, I will say the last redistricting maps were done at the Capitol.
Yeah.
This board did not do that.
either.
That's correct. I wasn't too much in favor of them, but I did go for
You
it.
voted for it.
I went for it, I said that.
I had-
Checks.
Just Wells.
I had exceptions on that.
come on. You
I
gotta take a
honestly
stand
didn't want to lose
sometime.
Langston.
Ain't like it wasn't gonna pass anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't complain if you vote for it.
No, I'm not complaining.
I'm not talking to
I'm
you.
just remarking. I wasn't real happy with it, but I went with it.
Well, we got an opportunity to redo it right now ourselves.
Well, no question about that.
I say, District 3 just stay on North Side of the River.
Sure. And I can get a whole bunch of Democrats into my election.
What's wrong with that? They like to vote. They're people.
Who never ever go on a county road.
Always change parties.
Don't need to.
I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, I wanna take care of the roads, but
I'm with you,
That's
Chris.
true.
Our job's to represent all the people.
I just.
So maybe we could get a good Democrat in there that would be able to maintain it, of course, over the last whatever 90 years or something, while they haven't done a very good job. But, who knows? In my humble opinion.
I wouldn't be opposed to having one road district in the county, to be honest with you.
One road district.
Did you stick around for a reason? Everybody else got it ran.
They did, didn't
I
they?
know, we're gonna talk to you.
Oh, okay. Do you need me to come in and see you?
Nah,
Okay.
it won't take long.
Okay.
No, I left Cheryl in the courtroom and Sable passing out cards, so I ran.
Feel like they had plenty to do today.
Yeah, it was quite fun.
That's what court was.
There are no blankets, and so therefore when those checks make their way on down to the end, those will be the last of the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda. There's no rush on it.
Let Marvin finish the opportunity of rejecting one.
Well, I haven't seen a check I didn't like yet.
Well, I've seen some I wish it was a little bigger.
Don't look at that.
There it is. So we've already been doing, well, we didn't have that as an item.
That's what, Marvin pointed out, is that it went on there, and I apologized and said it wasn't, it was inadvertently left off, I didn't catch it.
Well, my memory serves me, we already would have been doing that.
So, sorry about that.
I think that's an issue.
I'll second Mike's motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Any citizen desiring to be heard will do all left, with the exception of our
No.
illustrious county court clerk.
Well, I don't qualify as a citizen, but I did want to mention to the board that our next meeting on the 15th, we're going to have a presentation by Dr. Smith of the Oklahoma Surgery Center on him and another company that they work through, and how they saved Oklahoma County over $1 million in their medical expenses last year by going through a self-insurance pool. Not that that would be a solution for us, but I did want to listen to him. I did want to understand what was going on, and look at other alternatives as we discussed. So he'll be here on the 15th to give us a presentation on that.
Saving $1 million, they ought to do all of Waterloo, by golly.
Sounds good to me.
All right, item 16.
Also moved.
Second.
Out of here.